Hey guys, it's Mrs. Naraki. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it to school today. My daughter's sick, and I wanted to just quickly review what we did on that Thursday before spring break. Hopefully you had a great spring break. And then do one kind of application problem with you and kind of problems you'll see on your homework that you'll have tonight. So just to review, remember amplitude is how high and how low the graph goes. So what we do is we take the high point, which would be 11, minus the low point, which would be -5, and divide it by 2, and you get an amplitude of 8. The period is how long. I decided to just take a snapshot from here to here of this graph, so it's the cosine graph. How long it takes to go from here to here. Well, since this is negative, we have to take that into account. So from here to here is one length, and here to here is one length. So really, what we're doing is we're adding these two lengths together. You would need to get a common denominator, and when you add those together, your period would be 7 pi thirds. Your phase shift is where the graph starts. So we started our graph at -5 pi over 6. Your B was what you would need to find next, and you need the period for that. So since the period is 7 pi thirds, I'm going to plug that into here and then cross multiply and get 7 pi b equals 6 pi. And when I solve for b by dividing over by 7 pi, I get b to be 6 over 7. Okay. The vertical shift. How do I know that there's a vertical shift? Well, if my amplitude is originally 8, so going up to 8, down to -8, up to 8, down to -8. Well, this is reaching all the way up to 11. So to go from 8 to 11, I had to add 3 onto there. So again, here's y equals your amplitude, which would be -8, the cosine, b, which is 6/7, x, remember it's plus because you always have to do the opposite of the phase shift here. So plus 5 pi 6 plus your vertical shift, which is 3. Okay. The next one, a Ferris wheel with a radius of 7 meters. So radius is 7 meters. If your radius is 7 meters, then your diameter is going to equal 14 meters. Makes one complete revolution, so your period, every 16 seconds. So I wrote that here. Your period is 16, so that's kind of easy to write down right away. The bottom of the wheel is 1.5 meters above the ground. Draw a graph which represents the ride and graph the sinusoidal function. So if you're sitting on a Ferris wheel, okay, this is 1.5 meters above the ground. You're not going to hit the ground when you're sitting on the Ferris wheel. And the diameter is 14. So if your diameter is 14 and this is already 1.5 off the ground, then your highest point that you're going to be as you travel along the Ferris wheel is going to be at 15.5. So here we are at the lowest point, here we are at the highest point, and then we go back down to the lowest point and we go again. So same kind of graph here. We're at the lowest point, we're going up to the highest point, and then coming back down. Okay, so that's how I got 1.5 and 15.5. It says that it makes a revolution every 16 seconds. So every 16 seconds, it goes, again, up to the highest point, down to the lowest point. So your amplitude would be 15.5 minus 1.5 divided by 2, which you'll get 7. Your period is 16. We're going to plug in the period of 16 into here and get b equal to pi over 8. Is there a phase shift? No, because I decided to start here on my graph, so I'm not going to use a phase shift. Is there a vertical shift? Well, if the amplitude is supposed to go up to 7, down to -7, but instead it's going up to 15.5, then how do I go from 7 to 15.5? I have to add 8.5, so my vertical shift is 8.5. To write this equation, you can write it just as such. Now, on your homework, they might ask you to figure out, well, how high is it after 13 seconds? So we want to know, well, how high are you sitting after 13 seconds? You would plug that in for x. But when you do that, you have to include parentheses around this part in your calculator. So anytime that you're going to be plugging in time or anything like that, anything that you need to do for x, you need to put an extra set of parentheses here or brackets inside your graph. Okay, hope this makes sense. I will not see you guys on Tuesday. I'm giving the park exam. You're just going to be working on a review, so I will see you Wednesday. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and have a good day. All right, bye.